Hey there, Marshall here from Limited Resources, and we're going to be putting together a Streets of New Capenna sealed, and this is going to give you a chance to see kind of how I break down a sealed pool, not just a Streets of New Capenna one, but in general. I'm going to show you how I lay the cards out and the things that are going to go through my mind as I build. And this is particularly relevant because Streets is a 3-color set, so it pays attention to that, which usually means that it's more complicated. And on top of it, I don't know these cards yet. This is really early. Loading Ready Run just handed me this and said, you can build a pool. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And so you get to see kind of how I'm going to process the things that I need for the pool. So let's get into it. As you can see, I have picked Obscura for mine. So for old school players, I guess you would call it now, that's Esper. It's black, it's white, and it's blue. And so what I like to do is start off by opening up everything all at once so that I have all the cards. You can do this however you want, but I like to have all the cards kind of ready to go. And then we'll go through each of the packs separately. And then what I'll do is I'll show you how I separate them out. And then we'll have to make some changes for this one because it is a 3-color shard set. And that means that cards are going to get grouped a little differently than we have when we have a normal set where the focus is on 2-color pairs rather than 3-color trios. But it won't be that much different. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this stuff down. And then, of course, since this is a pre-release pool, we've got our hands on this seeded pack. So this is the difference when you pick which family, I guess it's called, that you want to do is that you get this pack, which will have cards in it that are specifically of that color trio to push you in that direction. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lay these things all out by color, and then we'll start going over the cards. The more fun way to do it, and the way that I'd more likely do it at an actual pre-release, just so you know that I'm not a heartless person, is of course I would go and look at my rares and see what I got and see what cool stuff I got. But for the purposes of how I normally would approach like a non-pre-release sealed build, I do it like this, and so I'll do it for this here. So I'm just going to start laying out the cards in color piles, and then we're going to find out a couple of things from that. We're going to find out how many cards we have of each color, which is certainly relevant because sometimes it is just sheer number when it comes to this type of stuff, where you just need critical mass of colors to get the job done. But then beyond that, we'll be able to go through each of the ones and kind of figure out what are the really notable cards from that. And then we'll get a snapshot of where our colors lie or where the strengths of our colors lie. So that's kind of the end game there. Now, for a pre-release pool, we're very likely to end up building the color pair or shard in this case that we picked. And the reason for that is that seeded pack that we have at the very back here. That is a very, very strong incentive to push you towards playing what you played because they're just going to hook you up. They're going to give you a bunch of cards in your color pair or color trio anyway. And if that's the case, you're more than likely going to be in that color trio. In fact, I would go as far as to say that if you find that you've picked a color trio or color pair for your pre-release and you are not in it, something went wrong. Not necessarily your fault, but you're going to be pretty unhappy with that result. So just continue to go through. Again, this is a little bit different because we've got these color trios, and I'm kind of trying to keep those lined up as well. Within a set that has color trios like this as well, there's another wrinkle. And by the way, you can see I'm putting the artifact or colorless cards up here. I'm putting the mana fixing or lands up here, and then these are the gold cards currently. But there's another wrinkle to it. For example, this card right here is just a 2-color card, so that could go potentially into multiple of the color trios, so it gets a little complicated, but again, I'll show you how to do it. You don't want to jump to conclusions too quickly, but just taking a quick snapshot. We only have a few black cards, kind of hoping to fill that out because that is one of the primary colors that I have. And one thing to keep in mind though, when you're setting these out, especially when you get near the end of it and you're going like, oh no, I've only got so many black cards, that is actually not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that can be a really good thing because if you get one color trio or color pair or even just single color that is cut off a lot, that means that there's more cards in the rest of them. And that means that you may get a particularly deep color or pair of colors that you can really draw from, where you go, okay, fine, I'm not black. Like, just cut black from it and then build from there. But now you have much deeper pools in the other colors. So it's interesting because I've seen people get really disappointed where they're like, oh man, I don't have enough black cards. And it's like, yeah, that might not actually be the worst thing for you. So don't get too discouraged if you see that happen. Also, sometimes it just happens that the way that you lay out the cards, the order that you unpack them here just means that like one's a little bit behind and then it kind of catches up. That happens too, so don't pay too much attention to it. Ooh, yeah, these the packs that are seated are insane. I just added all of these to what will become my Obscura pile here as well. Okay, so now we've got these laid out, and as you can see, blue is our deepest color, at least by sheer number, and then red, white, and green look like they're about tied. And then the black cards, there's fewer of them. And again, just another way to kind of snapshot this for your conceptualizing it is basically it went like this, right? These cards said, okay, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be here in blue instead. And so now blue's deeper than black, and that's what happened. And sometimes it even is more extreme than this. So the next step that we're going to take is we're going to go through each of these cards just quickly. At some point in the format, you of course will know the cards, and then that makes it easy for you. But even early, I'm just going to be reading these cards kind of quickly to get an idea for what they do and just a quick snapshot of power level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring any of the cards that really catch my eye, powerful uncommons, rares, or critical commons, and I'm going to bring them to the front and kind of see what they are. Now, the reason I do that is because I want to look for cards that make me want to play that color. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for cards that say, come on over here, the water's nice and warm, jump in. Not really the filler stuff, not really the, oh, hey, it's a solid body with a you want good cards that really make you want to play, and that'll give you a better snapshot of where your colors lie. So let's get into it. For the family, instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you draw 4 more creatures, it gets +4/+4. So combat trick, don't care about that. Again, not that it's unplayable, it's just we need heavy hitters. You know, for those of you that listen to the podcast, think bees are better, right? Like stuff that really makes you want to play it. Caladia Strong Arm, 5 mana, 2/3, when ETBs with 2+1/+1 counters on it, and you can blitz it as well. So again, that's just medium. High Rise Sajak, 2 and a green for a 2/3 reach, and when it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn, mediocre. Cleanup Crew, 6 mana, 6/6, when it enters the battlefield, choose one. Destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, exile a card from a graveyard, or you gain 4 life. That's probably good enough to be in that top pile. Rox Pummeler, another 6 mana card. This is a 6/3 that enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it, and it has trample as long as it has a shield counter. So not quite, but still fine card. Another Cleanup Crew, interesting. Civic Gardener, 2 mana, 2/2. When it attacks, you untap a creature or land. Nope. Venom Connoisseur. So this is an uncommon, 2 mana, 2/2 with Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gains Death Touch. This thing gains Death Touch until end of turn. If this is the second time this ability is resolved this turn, all creatures you control gain Death Touch. That's kind of cool. I'll put it on top, and it's probably not quite there. Glittermonger, 4 mana, 1/4, taps to create a treasure token. That's cool. Warm Welcome, 3 mana instant. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Reveal a creature card from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest on the bottom, and you make a 1/1 citizen. So another fine card. But the only cards I really care about here, I think, are these 3 uncommons on the top. So green, mediocre, but you know what? I'm fine with that anyway because we are trying to kind of trend towards Obscura. I'm just being thorough here to make sure that we know exactly what we have in our pool. So for black, Incriminate, choose 2 target creatures, 1 in a black sorcery. Controlled by the same player, that player sacrifices one of them. No. Murder, this is common, it's fantastic. Removal spell, 1 black, destroy a creature at instant speed, so yes. Maestro's Initiate, 2 and a black for a 3/1, and then you can pay 4 and a blue or 4 and a red, and exile it from your graveyard to draw 2 cards and then discard a card. That's pretty cool, but not going to be on the super high level. Join the Maestros, that one makes a 4/3, or you can sacrifice stuff to make another one. In other words, no. 3 and a black, 3/1 Menace for Revel Ruiner. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it connives. That's really good, but again, conniving lets you loot and you can get a counter, but not as good as Murder or that level. Cutthroat Contender. This is black for a 1/1. You can pay a life to give it +1/+0 once each turn. Okay, not good enough. And dig up the body, 2 and a black. Casualty 1, mill 2 cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So no again. So interestingly, not only is black shallow in terms of total playables, it only has one card that I really care about, and that's Murder. This is where our bread is going to get buttered, though, because we need this blue pile to be pretty dang good, as well as this white one if we're going to stay in Obscura. So, out of the way, 3 and a blue instant, target spell costs 2 less, sorry, this spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a green permanent, return target non-land permanent to an opponent controls to its owner's hand, draw a card. Yes, not only is it good better against green, it's good without it. Also, the flavor text is funny. It says, "You bore me." Hypnotic Grifter, blue 1/2, and you can pay 3 to have it connive. Looting for 3. I will actually put that up here. That's a little expensive though, but it can get bigger too, so that's kind of cool. Case the Joint, 3 and a blue, instant draw 2 cards and look at the top card of each player's library. I really like it. It's probably not on that upper level though. Echo Inspector, 4 mana, 2/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. That's excellent, but again, needs to be really, really good to be at the top. Obscura Initiate ×2. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer that I can pay 1 and a black or 1 and a white to give it lifelink. Not quite. Majestic Metamorphosis, 2 and a blue instant. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a 4/4 angel artifact creature and gains flying. Draw a card. That's definitely not going to be in that upper pile, but that's actually probably pretty playable. Broker's Veteran, 1 and a blue, 2/1. When it dies, put a shield counter on target creature you control. No. Security Bypass, 1 and a blue. Enchant creature aura. As long as enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, please say draw a card. Close, it connives. So it does actually draw a card, but then you have to discard one. Another Obscura Initiate. I guess I've got a lot of those. Echo Inspector, we already had one of those. Sewer Crocodile, 6 mana, 4/6. I can pay 4 mana to make it unblockable, and I can pay just blue to make it unblockable if I have 5 or more mana values among cards in my graveyard. No. Out of the way. Okay, so I've got 2 of those, and then Make Disappear. 1 in a blue, casualty 1, counter target spell unless the controller pays 2. Okay, so it ended up just being okay. We have got 3 cards, 2 out of the ways, and then I suppose a Hypnotic Grifter, although not 100% sold on that. Depends on how fast the format is. So blue is just okay. That was not amazing. Rafine's Guidance. This looks like a combat trick. No, it's an aura. It gives creature +1/+1 for white. You may cast it from your graveyard by pay 2 and a white rather than, oh, that's pretty cool, rather than paying its mana cost. So, but that's still not going to be good enough from that top list. Rafine's Informant, 1 and a white, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. That's actually pretty strong. Gathering Throng, 2 and a white, 3/1. And when it ETBs, you can search your library for any number of cards named Gathering Throng, reveal them, and put them in your hand, then shuffle. So we'll see if we get multiples of that. Illuminator Virtuoso, 1 and a white, 1/1 double strike. And when it becomes a target of a spell you control, it connives. I assume that that's not where I want to be. I'm going to keep it in the lower pile for now. Inspiring Overseer. No, this is the one. 2 and a white, 2/1 flying. When it ETBs, you gain a life and draw a card. Is that card for real at common? Rafine's Informant, we already had. Angelic Observer, 5 and a white, 3/3 flying that costs 1 less to cast for each citizen you control. I'm going to put that in the lower pile because I don't know yet. Buy Your Silence. Here's a removal spell. 4 and a white sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a treasure. Sure. Another Gathering Throng, so we've got 2 of those. Ballroom Brawlers, 3 white, white, 3/5. Whenever it attacks Ballroom Brawlers and up to 1 other target creature you control, both gain your choice of first strike or lifelink until end of turn. Yeah, sure, that's pretty cool. Kill Shot, destroy target attacking creature for 2 and a white. Sure. Backup Agent, 1 and a white, 1/1. When Backup Agent enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Okay, so there's our next pile. We've got 4 pretty decent white cards, but honestly, not amazing. And then I'm going to quickly go through red because I assume that we're not going to want to play it, but you never know. Strangle does 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker at sorcery speed. Well, that's a good one. Riveteer's Initiate, 1 and a white, or 1 and a red for a 2/2, and you can pay 1 and a black or 1 and a green to have it gain Death Touch until end of turn. Well, if you can activate it, that's pretty good. 2 and a 2 and a red for a 3/2 for Witty Roastmaster. Alliance, whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, or creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. No. Mayhem Patrol. God, these are so many words on all these cards. 1 and a red, 1/2 Menace. Whenever it attacks, target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and you can blitz it. No. Torch Breath. This is a removal spell. Red X instant. It costs 2 less to cast if it hits a blue permanent. It can't be countered, and it does X damage to target creature or planeswalker. Yeah. Another Initiate. Rob the Archives. 1 and a red sorcery. Casualty 1. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. I mean, I like cards like that, but I don't think it's like so amazing. Plasma Jockey. 3 and a red, 3/1. Whenever Plasma Jockey attacks, target creature an opponent controls can't block this turn, and it has Blitz. Sure. Not good enough, though. Light 'em Up. 1 and a red. It does 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker with casualty 2. Sure. Target. Okay, that's fine. And then Wrecking Crew. 4 and a red, 4/5 reach trample. Oh man, how many people am I gonna run into that thing on the secret reach on a red card like that? Okay, so a couple of red burn spells, but nothing great there. Let's focus our attention over here and see first what we got for our Obscura cards, because this right here is the most important thing to look at. This is where you are gonna figure out what your deck is really doing. So let's take a look. Obscura Ascendancy. This is a rare. It costs Obscura, and it's an enchantment that says whenever you cast a spell, if its mana value is equal to 1 plus the number of soul counters on Obscura Ascendancy, put a soul counter on Obscura Ascendancy and create a 2/2 white spirit creature token, please say with flying. With flying, as long as there are 5 or more soul counters on Obscura Ascendancy spirits you control. Wow. Okay, so whenever you cast a spell, if its mana value is equal to 1 plus the number of soul counters on it, so it has 0, so I actually have to literally cast a 1-drop to get this thing rolling? Dang. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Nimble Larcenist. So this is same thing, Obscura for a 2/1 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an artifact, instant, or sorcery card from it and exile that card. Yeah, close enough. That's good. Shattered Seraph. This is a really important card for this cycle is really important to look out for this particular set. 7 mana, 4/4 flying. When it ETBs, you gain 3 life, so it's like pretty good. But you can pay 2 mana and exile it from your hand to give a land the ability to tap for white, blue, or black, as long as this thing's in exile. And then you can cast this thing from exile. So that's 100% going to make the cut. And then I got another one. It's just the alternate artwork. And then I got another Nimble Larcenist as well. So I've got a bunch of really good gold cards there to lean on. So that is definitely a hard push in this direction, because these are all good, except for the Ascendancy. I have to make sure that I can actually get it going. Because if I'm reading it right, I need to start it. Like I need to cast a 1-drop to get the first one, and then a 2-drop will trigger it again. Because it says if its mana value is equal to 1 plus the number of soul counters. So that's very finicky. Now let's take a look real quickly at the next 2 options, which are going to be the adjacent shards, so the ones that are on the other sides of it, in other words, ones that share 2 colors with it. So we'll start with, I don't know what this is called, but I'll call it Bant because that's what it was called before. So this year is blue and white, and it would mean a green splash. Endless Detour. This is a rare. It's an instant. The owner of target spell, non-land permanent, or card in a graveyard puts it on the top or bottom of their library. That's pretty powerful. Soul of Emancipation. 7 mana, 5/7. When Soul of Emancipation enters the battlefield, destroy up to 3 other target non-land permanents. For each of those permanents, its controller creates a 3/3 white angel creature token with flying? Okay, well, I'm in for a little Terrastodon action, maybe. And then Spara's Adjudicators. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, so 4/4 Cat Citizen. Nice. When Spara's Adjudicators enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls can't attack or block until your next turn. 2, exile it from your hand, and then a land gets all of those things. So this is actually colorless fixing that could allow me to cast these other 2 or any other green spell that I choose that's single green. Okay, so that's worth considering. And then the other one would be Grixis, which again, if I knew the names, apologies, but I'll know them soon. In fact, this card is actually just Syndicate Infiltrator, just straight up in our colors, because it's not actually Grixis. I just piled it with it, so we'll start there. So this is 2 blue-black for a 3/3 flyer. As long as there are 5 or more mana values and cards in your yard, it gets +2/+2. So that'll make the cut no matter what. So we'll just put that over here. But the Grixis cards are actually both the same. They're both Corpse Appraiser. And this costs Grixis, so a red splash for a 3/3. And when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If a card is put into exile this way, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put one of those cards in your hand and the rest in your graveyard. Wow, so it draws you a card. One thing about this that's pretty cool is that you can kind of cast this whenever and still get a 3/3 plus a card. Later in the game, you're actually more likely to have a target for it. So potentially a red splash, and we do have Torch Breath or maybe Strangle or Light 'em Up or something like that if we want to go for that as well. Unfortunately, these cards are probably just out of reach no matter what, unless we would go full 5 color, which I'm not going to try to do unless this fixing is just completely off the charts. But let's just take a quick look just to be completionist here. So Jetmir's Fixer, 2/2 for 2. You can pay 2. Jetmir's Fixer gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If mana from a treasure is spent, then it's a counter instead. That's powerful, but definitely not worth splashing. Unleash the Inferno, 1 and a Jund instant. Unleash the Inferno deals 7 damage to target creature or planeswalker. When it deals excess damage this way, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the amount of excess damage. That's a cool design. Definitely don't want it in the deck though. Rakish Revelers, 2 and Naya for a 5/3. And then this is the thing, when it ETBs, you get a citizen, and then you can pay 2 to kind of fix your mana. But as I mentioned, this one's a little bit interesting because you wouldn't pay 2 and exile this just for the mana fixing with no chance of casting it later. And even though this does give us red mana fixing, we realistically can't cast it later because of the green, even with the fixing from this, because we'd need another red source plus green. So probably not going to make it. Cabaretti, that's what this is called. So Cabaretti, Ascendancy. I'm not going to read this because Ascendancies are hard to do, and we're not going to be splashing for it anyway, and I want to continue with our build. So I'm going to set those aside. Last 2 things to check out are our colorless cards. Is there anything good here? We did get a rare. Unlicensed Hearse. This is 2 mana for a Star Vehicle. Tap, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Unlicensed Hearse power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards exiled with it, and it has crew too. Okay, that's kind of cool, especially out of the sideboard. Halo Scarab, 2 mana, 2/1 creature, and you can pay 2 and exile it from your graveyard to make a treasure. That's actually probably playable, and I got 2 of them. So my splashing actually is starting to get kind of interesting there. Suspicious Bookcase, that's a great name. 2 mana, 0/4 defender, 3 tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Probably not for my deck, but I don't know, that actually seems like it might be a thing. Quick Draw Dagger, this is 3 mana for a flash equipment. When it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains first strike until end of turn. A quick creature gets +1/+1, and it only equips for 1. That's actually pretty powerful too, but these combat-based things I don't think are going to be the name of the game for Obscura, but we'll see. Cement Shoes, 1 mana, equip 2. Equip creature doesn't untap during its controller's unstep. It does get +3/+3 and has at the beginning of your end step tap it. No, thank you. Chrome Cat, 3 mana, 3/2. When it ETB, scry 1. That's just filler. And then Arc Spitter, 1 mana artifact equipment, equip 1. Equip creature has 1. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature that's blocking it. So it kind of makes your creature unblockable. Like you equip it in attack, and then if it has like 3 toughness and they're like blocked, then you just go pay 3, kill it, and your guy gets to survive. That's kind of interesting. Again, pretty heavily combat based though, so we'll keep that in mind. So now that we've got that, let's take one look at our lands. This is important. So we've got Waterfront District. So this is the black-blue version of this new cycle. They tap for either color. They ETB tapped, and you can pay 2, and then that color pair, tap it and sacrifice it to draw a card. And boom, we got Skybridge Towers, which is the other version of that, so that's great. We also have an Obscura Storefront. So this enters a battlefield. You sacrifice it right away. You search your library for, in this case, Obscura, Plain, Swamp, Island, one of those. Put it on the battlefield, tapped, shuffle, and then gain a life. So that'll be in the deck no matter what. Botanical Plaza, so that's the version of this, but with green-white. Cabaretti Courtyard, so this is the same thing as this, except for it gets mountain, forest, or plains. So if we do want to splash for red, or for green, then this would actually make the cut, and it can go get plains, it can just be like a slow plains for our deck, so that could be a thing. Another Skybridge Tower, so our mana's looking good. Broker's Hideout. So this is the one that lets you get a forest, plains, or island. So that'll make the cut no matter what because of the two colors. And then if we end up splashing green, I'll do so as well. Maestro's Theater. So this one gets island, swamp, or mountain. So the red splash actually looks almost free. And then we got Spar's Headquarters, which is the tri-land that taps for blue, white, or green, and you can cycle it for 3. And this, again, is going to make the cut because it taps for 2 of our 3 colors potentially. So the Botanical Plaza is the only one that's not making the cut, and that's only if we don't play green. So there you go. So let's lay out what our deck is going to look like now that we're kind of in the home stretch here. And what I'll do is I'll go through our 3 primary colors, and I'll keep the artifacts available too. And then I'm just going to lay them out by, and if a card really looks like it's not going to make the cut for me, then I will set it aside. But if it has a chance of making the cut, I'll put it in and we'll just see like how many cards we're at. And the way I like to do it is I put creatures up top and then I'll put the spells below. It's really important to pay attention to your mana curve with regards to creatures. With regards to spells, it's much less important. You just want to make sure that nothing's completely out of whack. But you usually don't curve non-creature spells. You usually curve creatures, and that's where it's important to have that mana curve. All right, Inspiring Overseer, Kill Shot, Ballroom Brawlers, Buyer Silence, Backup Agent. Which one is this? Yeah, whatever. It's probably filler. And then I did get 2 Gathering Throng, and that actually seems pretty powerful to me. So I'll put these up here. Even just getting 1 extra one. I mean, that's a 3/1. Like, it's also a citizen. Like for things that care about that, like this Angel that we got. What is this Informant? It connives. Yeah, I'm definitely going to play that. And I got 2 of them, so that's great. Illuminator Virtuoso, this is the double striker. I'll put it in. And then Rafine's Guidance. I guess I'll put it here. I'm thinking about that Ascendancy and seeing what kind of 1-drops we have to trigger it. So there's a Hypnotic Grifter. Out of the Way ×2, definitely going to make the cut. Make Disappear. Cheap counterspell, but I don't think I love it. Sewer Crocodile I'm going to set aside. I don't think that card looks very good to me. It's the 6 mana 4/6 that you can make unblockable. Echo Inspector. Yeah. That'll go here. And I got another one of those, didn't I? Yeah, I did. And then I've got the 2, or actually, I think I got 3. Yeah, 3 Obscura Initiate, so we'll put that here. Security Bypass, can't be blocked. I am not going to play that, I don't think. Broker's Veteran, dies, you put a shield counter. I don't think that's good enough either. Majestic Metamorphosis, I'm going to put that to the side as well. And then Case the Joint, draw 2 cards and look at the top card of each player's library. I don't think I would ever not play that. And then there's Murder, Dig Up the Body. Sure, I guess. I don't think I want to play this Pump Spell guy. Revel Ruiner, 3/1 with Menace. And when ETBs, I connive, probably want that. Join the Maestros. I don't think I want just bodies. And that's the same. Oh, that's Maestro's Initiate. That's a different card. Oh yeah, I do want to play this one. So this is when it's in the graveyard, I can pay 4 and a red or 4 and a blue to exile it. And then I can draw 2 cards and discard a card. Late game, that's really, really nice. And then I don't think I want to play Incriminate. That one lets you choose 2 of their creatures, and then they get to pick which one to die. But I mean, they have to have 2 pretty closely powered creatures to make it worth it. Okay, so let's just do a quick count here. So that's 5, 9, 12, 15, 17, 24, 26. So this is already like enough playables where we need to make a few cuts. So let's take a look once again at our splash options and just sort of make the call on that. We could splash for 2 copies of Corpse Appraiser. This is the 3 mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If I do so, look at the top 3 cards of my library and I get to put one of them in my hand and the rest of my yard. Very powerful mid-range card, not a game-ending bomb by any stretch. Think I would not splash for these, given that we're already good on playables. And so that leaves green. Oh, and it's worth noting that it's not just these, it's also Torch Breath and Strangle, and I guess Light 'em Up as well. So if we find that we're completely low on removal, especially the cheaper ones, we may need to go for that. And then for green, we've got Endless Detour, which is a removal spell, Soul of Emancipation, which seems really powerful, and then Spar's Adjudicators. So I think what I want to do here is let's look at green real quick just to make sure there's nothing that we want to splash out of here. So again, And this makes it easier because we've covered a lot of cards here. You probably don't even remember what cards I have in green, but I've left them where the good cards are at the top. The ones that would make me want to splash are at the top, or at least make me, consider it. So once again, Venom Connoisseur, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever another creature enters a battlefield under your control, this thing gets Death Touch, and if that happens twice, then all your things get Death Touch. That I would not splash for. Cleanup Crews, double green, so I'm not going to splash for those, and that's really about it. So no, we don't need to splash for those cards, but I think I do want to splash for these cards because this Soul of Emancipation looks really powerful to me. So when it enters a battlefield, destroy up to 3 other target non-land permanents. For each of those permanents, its controller gets a 3/3 angel. So what you can do is, they have a bomb, and you have 2 cards that you don't really care about. You can play this and say, I'll blow up your bomb, and I'll blow up the 2 things that I'll upgrade 2 of my creatures to 3/3 flyers. You get a 3/3 flyer. I have a 5/7 and 2 3/3 flyers. Your move, right? And I just killed one of your better creatures, right? It's also up to 3. So if they don't have anything worth killing, or if it's upgrades on their stuff, I can just do it and I can go, I'll just blow up these 2 things that I have. They are non-land permanents, so it's not quite as flexible, but still, you're going to have something that's going to be an upgrade on this. You can also just have it be a 5/7 in kind of the worst case. So I think I'm going to play these cards as well. And the question becomes, what are we cutting? We do have one other option that is worth considering, and that would be to cut black. If we do so, we miss out on some pretty significant stuff though. What I think needs to happen here is we need to cut out a good chunk of the mediocre cards. Now, I was pretty liberal about the cards that I put in here, but when we start integrating the, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put these at 2. I think that these just always get played at 2. I don't think there's any reason to just hold that in your hand that I can think of. But when we start integrating these in, we're going to see that our power level is actually quite high, and certainly we're going to be able to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And there's all of our fixing. So the first thing that needs to go is Obscure Ascendancy. I only have 2 1-drops. I don't really want to play this one anyway, and this one's probably going to make the cut, but it's a maybe. And if that's it, I can't get this card going, and so it's out. Okay, and if that's the case, I can cut Rafine's Guidance as well, because I didn't want to play that card in the first place. So we'll review the mana in just a minute, but for now, let's go through and cut out the weaker cards. First thing that we see is we have too many creatures here, right? So there's 5, 9, 12, 15, 19, 22. So that's almost a whole deck just worth creatures. So let's go through and cut any of the ones that we're not so happy about. So Backup Agent, cutting it. Rafine's Informant, keeping it. And then Illuminator Virtuoso, double strike, and it becomes target of spell you control. I'm going to get rid of that. That is basically just a 2/2 in a deck like mine, because I'm not going to be playing ways to target it very much, if at all. Okay, Maestro's Initiate, I'm going to kill that one because I'm going to try to trim down on black a little bit. I don't know how good Obscura Initiate is. It seems medium to me. I think I'm going to play one of them and cut 2 of them. Gathering Throng, I'll play both, and then I'll definitely play the Inspiring Overseer. Syndicate Guy goes in. This thing connives and has menace. That seems pretty strong. How good is Echo Inspector? 4 mana, 2/3 flying. When it enters a battlefield, it connives. It seems pretty good. Man, all this conniving seems really good. Like I can just churn through my library, fill up my yard, do all that kind of stuff. If that's the case, I'll probably cut Revel Ruiner and just keep the flyers. That seems fine. And then, do I want to play Angelic Observer? No, I don't think I do. Yeah, it's a 3/3 flyer, but who cares? Like, that's not that good. Even if it's cheap. I mean, even if it was 4 mana, it's like, whatever, that's not that good. And I have to do some work to get it to that point. Card draw, removal. I don't want to play Dig Up the Body. That's just sort of mediocre. Make Disappear, conditional counterspell, get that out of here. And then these are both bounce spells that draw me a card. This is removal, removal, removal. These are fixing / endgame. This is another reason not to play the 6-drop, by the way. And I think I'm going to cut this too. I'll keep it in for now. We'll see if I have room for that one. And then Buy Your Silence, exile target non-land permanent. That usually ends up being pretty good. So where does that leave us here? 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I need to make probably 1 cut, maybe 2 out of this. I don't think that I'm going to play any of these artifacts. Like, if I knew that unlicensed hearse, the ability to start exiling cards was going to be really, really good, then I'd probably play it, and it's still in the maybe pile. This is combat, 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 and I don't think I care about these ones. So this is a maybe. I'll put that here for now, and then I'll have to trim something here. It may just be the Obscura Initiate and something, or I could take 2 of the Throngs out or something like that. Okay, so we ended up splashing very lightly for green, just 2 cards plus this, but that thing can cast itself, so that's fine. But Botanical Plaza, easy include. Spar's Headquarters, easy include. This is island, swamp, or mountain that it can get, but it is a dual land for our deck. I think our mana is going to be insane. We may not even need to play it. The hideout gets forest, plains, or islands, so that's all things that are on color for us. 2 Skybridge Towers, waterfront district. The Cabretti Courtyard gets mountain, forest, or plains. I don't think that getting the forest is actually going to be difficult, so I don't think I need to play that. And then the Obscura Storefront, of course, is the one that's on color for us. But there is a concern here because these are all effectively tap lands. I'm willing to pay that price in a set like this. I'm kind of going to trust that it's okay to play a bunch of tap lands early, and then I'll adjust as I need to. So those are going to make the cut. So where does that leave us? 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 15, 19, 24. If exiling cards from a graveyard is good, then that card's kind of amazing. And if it's not, then it's pretty mediocre. So I think I'll just leave it to the side and bring it in when I think I need to. And I think that puts me at 23 here. One more count really quick. 16, 17, 23. Okay, so there it is. And then from here, right now, last step is to figure out your mana. And so what I'll usually do here is pick up all my cards. And this is just, again, to give you a snapshot, because human brains are not really good at seeing things when it's all just laid out in a big pile in front of you. So now let's put them into piles by color, okay? So those are only 2 green cards. And then what we'll do is a little shortcut that you can use to help you figure out how much mana you need. It's not the entire story, but it is a good snapshot that will help you figure it out. So what we can do is we can count the mana symbols. So here, we'll start with white. We've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then over here, we've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 white, okay? And then blue, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 16, 14, and then black's gonna be our least color outside of green. So 16, 14, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 16, 14, 8, and then 2 for green. So now what we want to do is just make sure that the balance, the ratio is roughly correct. So it should not be a problem with all the mana fixing we have. Off the top of my head, so we've got 3, 6, 7 dual lands or better, which means we need to add 10 lands. So I would probably do something like 4, 4, 2. I don't think I need to run a forest unless this only searches a basic forest. It does. Okay, so I do need to run 1 forest in the deck as well. So I would probably do something like 4, 3, 2, 1, something like that, because I think almost all of these make blue. For example, blue, 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 blue. So all of these outside of this one make blue, for example. So I can skimp a little bit on it and cut like a white, because this is most of the time just going to be a white card. So that's how I would work that out. I need to fill 10 slots for basics, and I would do something along the lines of 4, everything makes blue, so I could make that 3, so that's 7, 2, and then 1. Maybe that would be right. It might be 3, 3, 2, 1, something like that. And that would be my deck. That'd be the whole thing. Look, when it's early in a format, you need to have kind of a system that you use to help you break down what's ultimately a heck of a lot of information and actually get to the point of making decisions. That's the hard part about doing a sealed pool, especially at a pre-release when you're not used to the set, you're reading all the cards and you're kind of overwhelmed. You got to have a process to help you work through, and don't get too hung up on any individual card decision. It can be really tempting to want to get it perfect. Like, you could tell me later on that this Unlicensed Hearse is a really great card and I totally should have played it. Fine, I'll figure that out in due time. For now, I have to make the call and get a deck submitted. This is the deck that I'd end up submitting.